So I do understand that most of us, when we have these questions that you're just given unknown values, you're just given the X concept, and you are supposed to find that X, like what we are given in this question, which was all about determining or to calculate the value of X, giving reasons. Uh, 6 marks for that. We we need to actually understand. So this is a grade 12 question, which is a continuation from our June 2021 question paper. Now, question 8.2. We are given that in the diagram below, ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral. This ABCD that we are seeing from point A to point B to C to D like that, it is a cyclic quadrilateral. The moment that you're given this, think of a cyclic quadrilateral. Theorems which govern a cyclic quadrilateral. What is it that we know? We understand that in a cyclic quadrilateral, opposite angles are supplementary, meaning to say angle at A, this angle at A, and the angle at C2, they are supposed to add up to 180 degrees. They are supplementary. We know that. Which is the same thing about the angle at B2 and the angle at D2. These two angles, they are also supplementary. They are opposite to each other. So if I am to combine these two, I'm supposed to have 180 degrees. Is it the only concept? No, we also understand that the exterior angle, if a line is extended, if a line is being produced to another point, it forms an exterior angle on the outer part. And that exterior angle that we are seeing here, it is equivalent to the opposite interior of that angle. Opposite interior, which is B2. D2 is the interior, but the opposite interior is the one that we want. So meaning to say angle D1 is equal to angle B2. It's another thing that you can just consider. Angle D1 being equal to angle B2. Also, another thing that we are supposed to consider, there is an exterior angle as you consider line AB being produced to E forms an exterior angle called B1. What is it about this angle B1? It is the exterior angle, so it is equal to the opposite interior. This is the interior angle. But what is the opposite of this? The opposite is D2. The opposite interior, which is D2. So it means that angle B1 is equal to angle that is a D2. This angle D2 and the angle B1, they are equal. Angle B1 is equal to angle D2. With this information, there are a lot of things that you can actually consider. We are just here. It's just about a cyclic quad here. It's just about a cyclic quad. That's just about the cyclic quad. All right. Guys, don't mind me. Sometimes I need you to understand some other things that you might use in another class or in another exam that you might have. Okay, anyways, we are given that A, B, D, C are produced. This is what we are given to meet at E. A, B, C, D produced at F and so forth, and we're given these angles. All right. They are also triangles. We can go back to the theorems about the triangles. You know about the exterior angle being equal to the sum of the opposite interior, this and that. But I just wanted you to know something about a cyclic quad, the theorems. So this is all about what? Opposite angles of a cyclic quad, opposite angles of a cyclic quad being what? Supplementary. This is all about what? The exterior angle being equal to the opposite what? Being equal to the opposite interior. These are the two theorems that you need to understand on a cyclic quadrilateral. All right, anyways, the question was that determine giving reasons the value of X. 6 marks for that, the value of X. So when you are given a question like this, try to formulate equations. What is an equation? An equation is a statement which is true. That's an equation. Statement which is true. To say what I'm having on the left-hand side is equal to what you have on the right-hand side. Like this, it's an equation. This is equal to this, an equation. This is equal, it's an equation. This is equal, it's an equation. So I just have to formulate an equation of something that can be expressed in different manners. So the best way is to think about these ones, D1, B2, because they're just single. You know, guys, look here, we add concept 180. Okay, there are a lot of things there. Just considering maybe D1 and B2 or B1 and D2. Which one are you going to consider? Okay, let's say I consider these two, B1 and D2. I don't know why am I choosing this, but let's say this is what I want to consider. Okay, given that, all right, given B1 is equal to angle D2, we talked about this from the exterior, angle equal to the opposite interior. Okay, if these two angles are equal, what you do is that find another way of finding this B1, another way of finding D2. Like just find these in any other way. Is there any other way that we can find these angles? Okay, let's consider angle B1. Can we have this angle B1? B1 is this angle here, which is truly, according to the cyclic quadrilateral that we had, it was exactly the exterior angle. But the same B1, it maintains another property in a triangle. Which property is it? Let's hold this from B to F back to the point A like this. We are forming a triangle there. So if we are forming a triangle, what is it about this B1? It is an exterior angle. And we understand that the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of these two opposite interior, the sum of these interior opposite angles. This is the interior, but the ones opposite, because it's a triangle, so it opposes this and opposes this. So you add those two together. So if that is the case, meaning to say we can have B1 in terms of X, okay? So B1 is equal to 2X angle at F there plus 3X, the angle at B, which is what? Which is from which reason? We said this is from what? The exterior angle of a triangle. Okay? The exterior angle of a triangle is supposed to be equal to the sum of the two opposites. So this one is the exterior angle of a triangle. That is of triangle. Which triangle? This triangle ABF, of triangle ABF. So we understand that the exterior angle is supposed to be equal to the sum of these opposite interior angles. Okay, we determined B1 in terms of X. Because we know that B1 and D2 are equal, let's also find D2 in terms of X. Is it possible to find D2 in terms of X? That is the question. Where is D2? This is where our D2 is here. We want to find this angle in terms of X. All right, remember this is our B1. We said it's 5X, which is 5. Now, never be tempted to say, because you said B1 is equal to D2, so you take this 5X and you say, therefore, this is 5X. It's true that this is 5X, but if you do this now, you're not solving anything because 5X is equal to 5X. There's nothing that you're solving there. So what I'm trying to say is that since you said B1 and D2 are equal and you want to find the value of X, you form an equation, you find this D2 in terms of X, but in another way, do not take it from B1 to say, since they're equal, therefore I'm just going to take this 5X and I put it here. You are neutralizing your equation. There is nothing that you are going to find there. So you find this in another way. There is another way that you must have. So meaning to say we have to think of what is remaining. Okay, what is remaining on our diagram is this triangle here. A, E, all right, this triangle here, A, E to D like this one. We are forming a triangle there. If you consider on this triangle, this D2 is not affected, okay? Is not affected by that concept of the exterior because it is an interior angle. It's not an exterior, this one. D1 is the exterior. But for D2, it is inside of the triangle. So how do I find D2? because it is inside of the triangle, I simply have to subtract from 180 degrees. So D2 is equal to 180 degrees minus these two angles, the x and the 3x. We are talking about what? Sum of angles in a triangle, x plus 3x. So here we are talking about what? Sum of angles in a triangle. The sum of angles in a triangle. Sum of in triangle. Which triangle are you considering? A, E, D. This whole triangle. A, E to D. This is the triangle that we're talking about. So sum of angles in triangle AED. All right. So if that is the case, that means I have got angle D2 in terms of x. That will be 180 degrees minus x plus 3x. This is the same as 4x. We're going to have 1x plus 3x. This is 1 plus 3, 1 plus 3, which is going to be 4x. So that is 180 degrees minus 4x. So as we can see, we managed to determine D2 in terms of x also. But in another way, like we are finding the same angle which is equal to B1, but in another way from another equation. So if truly that these two are equal, it's just like this. Let's go back to our equations. It's like you say x minus 5. It's an expression, this one. Then you say it is equal to x plus 7. Maybe 2x plus 7, like that. What are you saying? These two are equal. You can solve for x from there because these two, they are equal. It's now an equation. So this is the type of question that you were supposed to form an equation, meaning to say, this is not the only way. I can form this, guys, many ways. Remember, I talked about this one, D1 and B2. You can form something about D1 and B2. Okay, let's finish this one first. Okay, from this one that we have here, since B1 and D2 are equal, since B1 is equal to angle D2, I'm going to take my B1, which is 5x, equate it to angle D2, also in terms of what? In terms of x. That's forming an equation. And with this equation, there is no way we are going to have our x. So we are now back to our linear equations where I can transpose the minus 4x to the left-hand side. It becomes a positive. So I'm going to add a 4x on this side. That is 9x is equal to 180 degrees. Simply divide by 9 both sides. Your x was going to be 20 degrees at the end. So thus, we can formulate an equation from any statement which is true. As long the statement is true, you can formulate an equation. As long the statement is true, as long the theorem is true. That's what I'm trying to say. The statement, that's the theorem. So it's all about your theorems. All right, we used this concept that angle B1 is equal to angle D2. What if someone say, okay, I don't understand this B1 and D2. I understand this D1 and B2. Let's see what is happening between angle B1 and angle D1, this one. I'm just going to use this one. So still the same idea, the exterior angle of a cyclic quad equal to the opposite interior. All right, so from that concept that angle D1, so there's another way that we could have there are so many ways there. There are so many ways. We said angle D1 is equal to angle B2. This is B2, like that. Okay, let's see. Angle D1 is this angle here. This is our angle D1. So it means I was supposed to find angle D1 in terms of x. Okay, so let's find D1 in terms of x. In terms of x. So finding D1 in terms of x, it means I have to form an equation again for this D1. D1 is considered as the exterior angle of this triangle ADE, from ADE or EAD, this triangle here. D1 is the exterior angle, so it maintains the properties that D1 is equal to the sum of the opposite interior angles, which is angle at E and the angle at A. Okay, remember your theorems, guys. Remember your theorems. Let's go back to our grade 11. That's our actually grade 10. Yes, grade 10. If you watch the introduction on grade 10, Euclidean geometry, that can help you a lot in bringing you the basics that you need. I talked about that. So make sure that you just search it. Euclidean geometry, mathematics grade 10 at Maison African Motifs. You see that. So it's very, very good that you go back to those basics, because when you're in grade 12, it's a continuation from grade 9. It's a continuation. It's a plug in from those. So we do understand that this exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. So that means the angle D1 in terms of x was going to be the sum of this x and the 3x. So that's x plus 3x, which is going to give us 4x degrees. So there we are referring to the exterior angle of a triangle. That's the exterior angle of triangle. And which triangle are you talking about? AED or okay, AD or whatever AED there, whatever way that you're gonna name it, it's fine. So I have got D1 in terms of x, which is the same thing that I'm supposed to do on B2, just like the previous case that we saw here. We had two conditions that these two are equal, and we formed something for B1 in terms of x and also for D2 in terms of x, and we're to equate those two. In the same situation, we are supposed to find also something that is equivalent to B2 in terms of x. So we are not going to take this because we said D1 is the same. So since D1 is equal to 4x, I'm just going to write B2 is also equal to 4x. No, you are neutralizing. You are neutralizing. So there is nothing that you're going to get there. Let us consider that this is triangle, and angles in a triangle, they do add up to 180 degrees. So I can determine the angle B2 because angle B2 is inside of the triangle. So it is included in the 180 degrees. It is part of the 180 degrees. So that means I can calculate also angle B2 in terms of x from 180 degrees, angles that are inside a triangle. So subtracting the 2x and the 3x from the 180 degrees, that means I'm obtaining angle B2. So that is going to be 180 degrees minus 2x plus 3x, which is 5x. So I have got angle B2 in terms of x, which is the same angle that is equivalent to the angle of D1. Only that they are given, written differently, but they represent one and the same thing. They are equal. Remember that. We say the exterior angle is equal to the what? Interior opposite angle. That is the idea there. The exterior angle equal to the opposite interior. I talked about this here. So with that, it means we can equate our angles just like before. We are now forming an equation. It's now an equation because there's no way these two, they are equal. So it means therefore angle BD1 here, which is 4x, is equal to angle B2, which is 180 degrees minus 5x. I have formulated an equation just like the previous case. And with this, I can solve for x by transposing 5x to the left-hand side. It becomes a positive. So that's 4x plus 5x is equal to 180 degrees. And we've got 9x, which is equal to 180 degrees. If you add the properly, divide to find the value of x. Remember, it's a product. So you divide 180 divided by 9, that is 20 degrees. So that is the value of x, just like the previous case that we had. So as we can see, these are the typical questions that you might be given just to solve for x or to find the value of x that you're given, to determine the value of x, giving reasons, which are the theorems. So a reason is simply taken from the theorems that you have. So like I said, more questions like this, we are going to have them from Maison African Motifs. Make sure that you do the proper thing to subscribe at this moment so that you do copy out or you do follow up with the revisions that you're going to have for your grade 12 preparations.